A leaked private video involving Tennessee Titans quarterback Will Levis and his ex-girlfriend Gia Duddy exploded all over the internet. Now, NFL players are reacting to the scandal, and some of their comments are exposing what Will Levis has reportedly been going through behind the scenes. In 2024, Will Levis found himself on the wrong side of a video getting leaked online. The Tennessee Titans quarterback made headlines for all the wrong reasons when his intimate video with ex-girlfriend Gia Duddy allegedly got leaked. On May 24, 2024, at least two separate video clips showing a man purported to be NFL player Will Levis having sex with a woman rumored to be influencer and TikToker Gia Duddy began spreading online, with X accounts including Wom Archive and Jenkins Price sharing the clips that day, garnering over 2,400 likes and 3,300 likes respectively in just 5 days. The video spread like wildfire. NFL fans on Twitter and TikTok were sending it around before most people had even woken up that morning. The rumored sex tape gained viral spread in late May 2024, inspiring reactions and memes online, including on sites like TikTok and X, with some commenting on how seemingly fast Levis ejaculated and referring to his genitalia as his cannon, making reference to a quote spoken by Levis during an interview in which he called his throwing arm a cannon that he wanted to show off. That irony, the cannon comment, now permanently weaponized against him in the most embarrassing way possible, became the fuel that kept the content machine running for days. Over the following days, posts and memes referring to the leaked videos went viral on social media. On May 25, 2024, TikToker Football Stuffs and Things posted a meme referring to the videos that gained over 833,000 views in 4 days. On the same day, TikToker Bet posted a meme about the video that gained over 3 million views in the same span of time. On May 26, TikToker Herbie.cc posted a video set to the song Nasty by Tinashe, referencing the video, garnering over 2 million views in 3 days. Within 72 hours, the incident had become one of the most memed moments in NFL internet culture that year. The name Will Levis was trending everywhere, not because of touchdowns, not because of contract news, not because of anything he had done on a football field. And the entire NFL ecosystem, players, fans, commentators, was watching and reacting. The internet wasn't waiting for context. The internet wasn't waiting for a statement. The comments sections were a flood of jokes, shock, and everything in between. The NFL world had things to say. One viral TikTok account posted a clip with the caption, "Why is Will Levis trending on Twitter?" while another account captioned their post, "Bro lasts longer behind his O-line than he does in the sheets." That last joke landed because of the exact intersection of his professional and personal life. The quarterback who got roasted for sliding in the NFL draft was now getting roasted again. And this time, the stakes were far more personal. The memes and reactions flooded TikTok and Twitter for days on end, forming a digital wave that neither Will Levis nor Gia Duddy had any power to stop. But beyond the jokes and the memes, there were two real human beings at the center of all of this. Two people who had no idea that a private moment from their college years together would one day become the most viral clip on the internet. It was an embarrassing moment for both. Neither party had ever spoken out about it. Any comments would only make it go even more viral. For months, almost 2 full years, both Will Levis and Gia Duddy stayed silent. Not a word, not a post, not a denial, not a confirmation. Complete radio silence. The incident, which saw private content circulate widely online without consent, remained a persistent source of scrutiny for both individuals. And then on May 25, 2026, almost exactly 2 years after the tape first dropped, someone finally spoke. Not Will, not Gia, but the person who knew Will Levis better than anyone in the world, his mother. To understand why this story hit as hard as it did, and why it still carries weight 2 years later, you need to understand who Will Levis and Gia Duddy were before that tape ever surfaced. Because this wasn't just a random NFL player and a random girl. This was one of the most talked about couples in NFL culture, built up in full view of the public, then torn apart just as publicly. Levis and Duddy dated from 2021 to 2023, having met at Penn State University before Levis later transferred to the University of Kentucky. From the start, theirs was a college romance that played out against an increasingly public backdrop. As Will's football career grew, so did the spotlight on everything around him, including Gia. Duddy, who is now a full-time content creator, first met Will Levis at Penn State. They started dating shortly before he transferred to the University of Kentucky, and stayed together throughout the remainder of her college career. That is the foundation, 3 years of a genuine relationship. Before the NFL, before the TikTok following, before any of it. But that all changed in April 2023. In April 2023, Duddy went viral during the NFL draft, as cameras repeatedly focused on her and Levis's family after he surprisingly fell out of the first round. Her reaction cemented her status as a high-profile NFL LAG. She first went viral at the NFL draft when her then-boyfriend was picked number 33 overall by the Tennessee Titans. She had approximately 60,000 followers at the time. Total, that number exploded overnight. Duddy went so viral during the NFL draft that her follower count doubled during the broadcast. Because of the moment, Duddy was able to capitalize monetarily, securing a brand deal with fast food chain Burger King. She then tried to snowball her momentum with a Coca-Cola deal, tagging the company in a post of her holding the fountain drink that read, "Sponsor me, I love you." She was everywhere, and for a brief moment, it seemed like things were going perfectly for both of them. Will was entering the NFL as one of the most hyped quarterbacks to come out of the college game in years, and Gia was riding the viral wave directly into a legitimate content creator career. Then came the breakup. In August 2023, Duddy moved to Tennessee to be with Levis, as he started his NFL career with the Titans. In September 2023, the couple officially split, less than a month after Duddy's move. The timing of it made the whole thing even more painful to watch from the outside. She had packed up her life, relocated to Nashville, and within weeks, the relationship was over. The breakup led to a cryptic post about karma and an awkward situation where he got benched in front of his ex. When asked about the changes going on in his life and his separation with Gia, the QB stated, "It's been good. I mean, it's something I'm not used to. I was with her for pretty much 3 years, so it's something I'm still trying to navigate and figure out." Levis further said he was busy figuring out game plays during his debut season to focus on other aspects, including the breakup. It was a rare, honest moment from a rookie quarterback, trying to navigate an incredibly public personal situation. And then, about 2.5 months after that breakup, the tape dropped. Unfortunately, Will Levis and Gia Duddy were subject to a severe violation of privacy. In the months right after their breakup, multiple videos of their private bedroom escapades hit the internet without their consent, as did a series of intimate nude photos. It was a major scandal. Nobody knew who was responsible for the leak. The timing of the leak, so close to the breakup, immediately fueled the most obvious and ugly assumption the internet could make. When private content involving a public figure gets leaked shortly after a breakup, the internet doesn't take long to start assigning blame. And in this case, the target was Gia Duddy. The theory spread fast and loud, even as it was built on nothing but timing and assumption. One ludicrous theory suggested that Duddy might have leaked the videos as some kind of revenge, even though she was equally as violated as he was. That obviously was not the case. She had nothing to do with it. But that didn't stop the theory from taking on a life of its own online. Because when something like this drops in the weeks after a couple splits, especially when the woman in the video is the one with the growing social media following, she was building a brand. She needed content. She wanted the attention. It was a narrative that completely disregarded the fact that Gia Duddy herself was in that video, that she too was a victim of having her most private moments exposed to millions of strangers without her knowledge or consent. Gia Duddy has largely maintained a private stance regarding the leaked sex tape controversy, avoiding detailed public commentary. Her silence was then weaponized by the same people who created the theory. She wasn't speaking because she was guilty, they claimed. She wasn't speaking because she knew something. In reality, as would later be revealed, she was silent for the exact same reason Will Levis was silent, because neither of them had done anything wrong, and any response would only add oxygen to the fire. Beth Levis also explained that the controversy affected the family, because there were rumors circulating on the internet that either Levis or Gia Duddy had leaked the video themselves. The controversy also affected Will Levis's sister, Claire, who was still in high school at the time. Think about that for a second. A high school girl trying to live a normal teenage life, waking up to see her brother trending on the internet for the worst possible reason. Every notification her phone made that week could have been another person sending her a joke, a meme, or a message about it. It doesn't just hit the two people in the video. It radiates outward, touching everyone connected to them. Beth said she first learned about the situation after receiving an emotional phone call from her son in May 2024. And what happened on that call? speaks volumes about Will Levis as a person, beyond the football and beyond the scandal. According to Beth Levis on the Ross Tucker podcast, she said her son called her and apologized profusely once he became aware that it was out there. The first words out of Will's mouth were, "I'm so sorry, Mom, and it just broke my heart." She said, "Not help me fix this, not call a lawyer." The first words were an apology to his mother. That detail cuts through everything, the memes, the jokes, the internet discourse, and lands in the middle of a very human moment. A young man, an NFL quarterback, horrified that his private life was now something his family had to confront, and his instinct was to apologize. Beth Levis first became aware of the video leak after receiving a phone call from her son. Beth said her heart immediately sank because she knew something was seriously wrong. She said Levis kept apologizing during the call. Meanwhile, the blame game kept running. The leak prompted a range of online theories about how the footage surfaced. But all of those theories, every single one, pointed fingers at people on the inside. Former friends, former partners, former teammates, anyone with a personal connection. They were too busy pointing at Gia. When the tape first dropped, Will Levis didn't go to social media. He didn't post a statement. He didn't call a press conference. He did what any rational person who has just had their private life violated in the most public way possible should do. He went to work finding out exactly what happened, and he spared no expense doing it. Will Levis spent an exorbitant amount of money to pull his sex tape with ex-girlfriend Gia Duddy out of circulation. That is according to the quarterback's mother, who appeared on the Ross Tucker football podcast, where she discussed the trauma it caused. Beth Levis described the scope of the response in detail, and what she laid out painted a picture of a full-scale private operation designed to both identify the source and contain the damage, and spent an exorbitant amount of money to try to get to the bottom of this, and through that, try to scrape what they could to make this go away. Ultimately, a lot of the content was taken down, but you can never scrape anything entirely from the internet. It's there forever. There is a footprint, unfortunately. That last line, "it's there forever," is the part that should sit with everyone who consumed that content without a second thought. Every person who shared the clip, every account that posted it, every person who screenshotted it, they were all contributing to the permanent nature of a crime, because that is what this was. This was not a celebrity choosing to leak their own content. This was theft, to uncover how the material was obtained and distributed, pointing to a complex cyber breach rather than a personal leak from within their circle. The investigation was extensive. The team Levis assembled, cybersecurity specialists and private investigators, were not cheap hires, and the work they did was not fast. They had to trace the digital trail backwards through servers, timestamps, metadata, and access logs to figure out where the breach originated. We did find out that actually this content was stolen, and his private either laptop or digital platform/phone was actually breached and invaded a year or two earlier when he was in college. And we come to find out this was an Eastern European hacking group that is notorious for trying to target what they think might be an attractive couple. Read that again carefully. The breach happened a year or two before the tape dropped, meaning that while Will Levis and Gia Duddy were still happily together, still a college couple building their futures, someone on the other side of the world had already broken into his devices and was sitting on that content, waiting for the right moment. The most chilling part is that there was no malice from anyone in their inner circle. There was no scorned ex, no jealous friend, no insider with an agenda. It was a calculated, premeditated act by a criminal organization that specifically targets high-profile couples. The family further indicated that the intrusion was linked to an Eastern European hacker group, believed to target high-profile individuals and couples. While the findings have not been independently verified, they have shaped the family's understanding of how the leak occurred and ruled out suggestions of betrayal from acquaintances or former partners. And what did that revelation do for the Levis family emotionally? We actually came to terms with that. At least we knew where it came from. It wasn't something malicious from who knows somebody else. There is something both horrifying and strangely relieving about that. Horrifying because the breach had been sitting there for years, a ticking clock neither of them knew about. Relieving because it meant no one who loved them had done this to them. The content has been made largely inaccessible through major platforms, protecting Levis and Duddy's privacy to some extent. Taking down absolutely everything from the entire internet, however, is likely impossible. Will Levis spent a lot of money to find the source of the leak, and to get as much of the content scraped from the internet as possible. Most of the images and videos have since been removed, but a digital footprint will always exist. The money was spent, the work was done, but as Beth put it, it's there forever. And that is the brutal, inescapable reality of the digital age. Once something is out there, it cannot be fully erased. It can be suppressed, deplatformed, reported, and removed from the major sites, but the footprint remains. 2 years on from the tape drop, the story of Will Levis and Gia Duddy has settled into something more complicated than a scandal. It has become a case study in how two people can experience the same violation in entirely different ways, respond to it in entirely different ways, and end up in entirely different places. For Will Levis, the professional road has been rocky in a way that has nothing to do with the tape. Levis is currently participating in the Tennessee Titans off-season workouts and OTAs. He is locked in a competitive battle with Mitchell Trubisky and Hendon Hooker to secure the primary backup quarterback role behind projected starter Cam Ward. That is the reality of where Will Levis stands in the NFL today. Will Levis is now the Titans' third-string QB, the first-round buzz that surrounded him going into the 2023 draft. The hype machine that had him projected as a top 10 pick before he slid to 33rd has given way to a very different kind of NFL career trajectory. He is in a three-man competition for a backup job on the team that drafted him. The ordeal eventually inspired Beth Levis to reshape her lifestyle brand around mental health. As a principally driven person, and with these experiences being so raw and utterly awful, it really bothered me that I did not use these examples for the better. So basically what was born out of that angst is, I sat down and I was like, I have this lifestyle brand, and we've already been in the positivity space, and maybe we can reframe this and rebrand, with an emphasis on preaching the importance of how important it is to take time out from our devices. That is a remarkable turn. Will's mother, the woman who received that devastating phone call, used the trauma of what happened to her son as motivation to build something meaningful, to warn other people about the dangers of digital exposure, to try to convert pain into purpose. Levis is currently dating Kaylee Champion. Life, as it tends to, has moved forward. The tape, the investigation, the memes, all of it is in the rearview mirror, even if the footprint, as his mother said, never fully disappears. And for Gia Duddy, the trajectory has been even more striking. Levis is the third-string quarterback while Duddy's brand continues to skyrocket. She now has more than 300,000 followers on Instagram and 650,000 on TikTok. The woman who was wrongly accused by the internet of leaking her own private content has built a genuine digital empire in the years since. Gia Duddy leveraged her experience as the ex-girlfriend of Tennessee Titans quarterback Will Levis to provide candid guidance to girlfriends and wives attending the 2026 NFL Draft. Her advice went viral across social media in late April 2026, drawing millions of views as she reflected on her own 2023 draft night journey and the relentless camera attention that follows prospective players' partners. As of late 2025, the narrative surrounding the former couple has evolved from a heartbreaking NFL draft night to a series of post-breakup controversies, including Gia Duddy's public rebuttal of dead journalism over rumors connecting her to other players. And as for the wider NFL world and the internet, well, the tape going viral again in May 2026, around the same time as Beth Levis's interview on the Ross Tucker podcast, served as a reminder that nothing truly dies on the internet. It has been 2 years since that moment, and now that dreaded sex tape is back, going viral. The internet rediscovered it. The comments came flooding back. The joke started up again. The latest remarks revived discussion around digital privacy, online exploitation, and the long-lasting impact of non-consensual content sharing. But this time, with Beth Levis's interview out there, the conversation has a different dimension to it, because now people know the full story. They know that the content was stolen by hackers. They know that Gia Duddy had nothing to do with it. They know that Will Levis spent an enormous amount of money trying to make it disappear. They know that his little sister was affected by it. They know that his mother's heart sank when the phone rang. They know that his first words were, "I'm so sorry, Mom." NFL reporter Dov Kleiman summed up the reaction of the football world when he posted the clip of Beth Levis speaking, writing simply, and the thousands of people who responded to that post were not joking anymore. They were expressing sympathy, genuine human sympathy, for a quarterback, his ex-girlfriend, and a family that went through something no one should ever have to go through. By all accounts, Levis and Duddy are on fine terms. They probably haven't talked in a few years, but there's not any bad blood between them. She moved on. He moved on. The story of Will Levis and Gia Duddy is not really a story about a tape. It is a story about privacy in an age where privacy is nearly impossible to protect. It is a story about how quickly the internet destroys the line between public figure and private person. It is a story about a hacking group on the other side of the world that deliberately targeted two young people because they thought they were attractive and famous enough to generate clicks. And it is a story about what it costs, financially, emotionally, and personally, to try to put that genie back in the bottle. Ultimately, a lot of the content was taken down. It's there forever. There is a footprint, unfortunately. That footprint, that is the part that doesn't go away. Not just the content itself, but the fact that it happened. The fact that two people who did nothing wrong had their most private moments stolen and broadcast to millions. The fact that the person everyone blamed, Gia Duddy, was just as much a victim as Will. The fact that the NFL world laughed and memed and joked, and then 2 years later, when the full story came out, had to sit with that. The NFL reacted the way the internet always reacts. Fast, loud, and without context. And then the context arrived and changed everything.